Let me go back. You jump down. You come down. Okay. We'll cut that. Ah! She just attacked me from behind. All right. What is going on with you? And now her claws are caught in my shirt. Okay. Yeah, it's your fault. Hey, Internets. It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about the preview to the season finale of Devs.
Yeah.
We're coming in a little late on this, but yeah, we're going to talk about this, get this out before the episode hits so that our theories don't sound quite so foolish. Maybe foolish anyway. But then after this is over, we're actually going to do a season recap as well. But this is Wednesday night. This thing is coming out in 24 hours. So just to give you a very brief breakdown, in case you're watching this video and you're like, what's Devs? I don't know what you're talking about. Devs is a sci-fi show. This is season 1. It's 8 episodes long. And, you know, coincidentally, you've got Westworld is an 8-episode season running somewhat simultaneously with this show, which is an 8-episode season. And their themes are very similar in terms of there's a giant computer out there that can predict the future. And is it like determinism or free will? What will win out? And that's one of the major themes of this show. It's actually a fairly small cast, and most of them are dead at this point. But
a lot of them are dead.
So just to say, our main protagonist is Lily. Lily works at a big company, kind of a Google type company. It is run by this entrepreneur, and that entrepreneur's name is Forrest. The company's called Amaya after his daughter that died in a tragic car accident. That's actually very important to this show.
Yes.
Early on, Lily has a boyfriend who also works at this company and gets a promotion to the Devs department. Devs is where they're handling this computer that can see the future. He gets this promotion. He goes to Devs. And within a single episode, we find out he's an industrial spy, and he gets killed, murdered, as a result of that. So a lot of this episode a lot of the season has been Lily attempting to figure out what happened to her boyfriend. She didn't know he was an industrial spy, for instance.
Nope.
So she finds all this information out.
This is a bad explanation for anybody who wants to watch the show but hasn't yet.
All right, so be it. It's great. She goes through a series of perils.
Yeah.
Her ex-boyfriend that becomes her current boyfriend again, he is bumped off again as well.
Yes.
There are a couple of programmers that work at Devs. There's a young one and the old one. The young one is now dead. Lyndon. Stuart, the old one, is still hanging on. Although, boy, I don't know that I like his odds of surviving through the last episode. But okay. Anyway, there's also Katie. Katie is kind of the co-head of Devs. It's Alison Pill. We saw her in Star Trek Picard.
We did.
She is also Forrest's love interest, but she's very, very smart. She's one of the programmers as well. We don't necessarily know her vested interest in this program, but she's really committed to it. Put it that way. Lily's death has been predicted by the computer. And it's been predicted in the next few hours. As we come into episode 8, her life expectancy is a couple of hours max at this point. So one of the main questions is free will a thing? And can she break this cycle that apparently results in her death? Or will it just play out that way and she dies? The other thing we've seen is that somewhat in concert with her death is also the last second that this computer can predict anything. So like time stops or something. Something happens. Something happens that the computer can no longer make predictions after this second in time. So that's what we're headed to as well. What's going to happen? Do you have some theories, good sir, as to what we're about to see in episode 8?
Right. Well, one of the interesting things that I've heard mentioned by the maker of the show is the fact that Lily, she has a very particular dress style and personal style that may factor into what is to come. And to further explain that is the fact that Lyndon is a woman.
Correct.
The actress actor, but is a woman, but plays a man.
Right. No,
So
the character is a male. Yes.
But the actor that plays Lyndon is a woman.
Right.
So I think that's very important and something that the fact that both those characters are people who are playing against their stereotype in terms of their gender, I think we're going to see some new world where they're not themselves. That's what I think.
In what way? Like, in other words, how
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be like, wow, this is the world where Forrest's daughter is alive. I don't know. Or Lily is a man and dating, somebody else. Or, I don't know. But that's one of the things that I suspect is going to be different. That we're going to see those people be different as a result of whatever event is coming.
Interesting. Okay. One thing we do know or have been told is Forrest believes in this model that there's really only one timeline, essentially. And
well, I think he wants them to only care about one timeline.
Right.
I think.
Right. Okay. Good point. He might believe there are other ones, but he doesn't care. He doesn't want to deal with those. He wants everything that the computer depicts and predicts is in the timeline where this version of Forrest exists.
Right.
And part of that, I think his idea is he would like to prove that determinism is a thing, that free will doesn't exist, so that it'll make him relieve his guilt at having, in his mind, led to his wife and child's death. I think he feels guilty because he was talking to his wife. She's like, hey, I got to get off the phone. I can't drive and talk. And he feels like if I hadn't been talking to her on the phone, they'd still be alive. But, hey, if determinism exists, then there was no other way that I could have been. I had to be talking to him, so it takes me off the hook, I think, is why he's so opposed to seeing these other timelines to the point that he fired Lyndon. Anyway. But
I guess that might be true. I mean, the way that the show, or at least Lyndon and the other scientists who aren't Forrest see it allows them to see what happens in the past because they take into account all these other things. And so they can see what the past and the future is. If they have a deterministic sort of viewpoint, then that would keep them from changing anything. And I wonder if that's the whole purpose, of just him like, okay, now I don't feel so guilty anymore. I mean, he's seen his daughter now. So his stake shouldn't be anything except, I guess, to see what this moment is, that nothing occurs after.
Well, it isn't. I mean, even
perhaps he's afraid. Not afraid. He seems resigned, actually. So perhaps he's like, okay, well, maybe everything stops, and we're all dead anyway.
And I think, yes, I feel like there is a resignation about it. Think of the way that we see him play Frisbee with Jamie. And then we see later Jamie is brutally murdered.
Right.
And he admits he and Katie both have watched this day hundreds of times.
Right.
He mentions even like, oh, you got to go, Lyndon's in your back seat. Go do the Lyndon thing. So he knew the whole time that he was playing with Jamie that Jamie's about to get shot in the back of the head.
Yeah.
And he's just like, da-da-da, I'm not even going to mention it, da-da-da-da. Like, I think it's because he's like, this is just the way things have to be.
Yeah.
And so I'm off the hook. I don't have to tell him anything. I don't have to try to stop it because I can't. So I might as well not try.
Right, yeah. So I guess for him, actually, it's probably been over for a long time. As soon as he knew what the events coming are, he probably was satisfied. You know, if I'm right, if there's an event that, well, I guess it's possible. You could still accept that determinism is what's going on, is that perhaps we're just going to see another alternate timeline or something.
Right.
Which is what I fit into what I'm talking about. Maybe nothing is going to be changed.
Right. In other words, do they find a way to to fall into a reality where, let's say, Jamie's still alive, and so is Forrest's family. You know, like,
right.
Oh, that seems a little weird for this show, though. This show doesn't seem like a happy ending type of show, frankly.
Well, yeah, no. I wouldn't... Well, yeah, maybe that wouldn't be a happy ending.
Okay, all right. I mean, for Katie, it probably wouldn't be. She'd be like, oh, wait, you replaced me. But I was thinking...
Right, no, yeah, certainly. But, I mean, I question, actually, how important Forrest is to her. I mean, not that she doesn't... She's expressed interest, and I think she's sincere in that. I mean, expressed affection for him.
Yeah, their relationship is...
I think that her, one thing that definitely the maker of the show is trying to separate the motivations of Forrest from the motivations of the people who are actually doing the work and coming up with the theories. So... Yeah,
he is not on their level in terms of intellectual theory and all that kind of stuff.
No, he's definitely not. So, I mean, it's possible that something is in her mind that we have yet to see, and maybe that's going to come to fruition. We don't know.
There's an interesting style of acting in this show as well, which is like this, almost like an emotionally flat quality to everything that I just wondered if maybe part of that is played out because these people do believe in determinism, and so they're like, I've already lived this, and this is just the way it is, and I don't know. It's off-putting, but in a... It's like an engaging way of off-puttingness. I don't know. It's like
I'm engaged in the way that you're putting me on.
I'm like looking behind my shoulder, like, wait, do you see something I don't? Yeah, I thought that perhaps the reason that everything ends at a very specific time and they can never move that time. She says, try as we might, we can't. It's always the same minute. It's always boop.
Right.
Is because perhaps they are in, like, perhaps a simulation. I know I'm talking about simulations and blah, 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 but that they're in the one level up from them in the real world, the computer gets shut off, and so the simulation that it's running gets ended, and so that what they are in is a simulation. And we would just see somehow the one level up version of them shuts everything off, and so down below they get removed from existence. It's like, whoop, we're wiped. I don't know, maybe. I don't know how they play that out necessarily, but I kind of feel like that might be a direction they're going. Just a thought.
Sure, and then it becomes a question of is this the end of the series then?
Right, and I don't know if they've got a season 2 or if this is supposed to be a mini-series. First time I saw a reference to it, it called it a mini-series. And so I thought, well, maybe that's it then. I don't know. But I haven't seen that reference since, so I don't know that it, in fact, isn't maybe picked up. Originally, I thought maybe, I don't think this is happening, but I thought like they dropped the idea like, why did they build this on a fault line? And that maybe there's an earthquake. And it just takes out the whole building, and you're like, oh, well, okay. Can't predict anything anymore. I mean, the other idea, well, just because, Lily's showing up with a gun, right? She wants to shoot somebody, maybe Forrest, Katie, take out the computer. She knows that somehow her going there means the end of things, and I think she's resigned to that now.
Does she?
Yeah, well, Katie told her that. Katie said, you're going to show up, and at 1 in the morning, you're going to do something, and everything is going to end. Like,
oh, right, yeah. She doesn't tell her that she's going to die.
She does not tell her she's going to die.
Right.
So Lily shows up with the idea that, okay, well, I guess you killed Jamie. I'm going to try... If my actions being here destroy this system, so be it. Then that's kind of what I want, I think. I think that's kind of part of her reasoning. Kate even mentions, like, you're interesting because you're more worried about, what you wouldn't do than what you would do, or something like that. I forgot how she puts it, but in other words, you act because you're afraid of what not acting would do. So Lily has shown up to act. But point being, she's got a gun. Is the gun just to help get her inside, or is she like, I'm going to kill you? I feel like there's more deaths coming. I'll put it that way.
Oh, sure.
I don't really see her killing Forrest necessarily. I see if she was going to kill somebody, it would probably be Katie. And in fact, something that occurred to me is maybe it's Forrest that ultimately kills Lily, because Forrest hasn't done any killing yet. He's been this guy that just, like, people do stuff around him, and he's always apologetic about it.
Kill Katie?
Well, not Katie. Sorry, Lily.
Oh,
I think we're going to see, unless the thing cuts out and it's like a simulation. I think we will see Lily die, and if that happens, who kills her? I'm guessing it's Forrest.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it might be more likely from some guards or something to come along and kill her than Forrest.
I'm just thinking maybe because he hasn't taken agency.
If the one that kills her, then he's foreseen it. And to me, his actions don't seem like somebody who is anticipating that they're going to commit a murder.
It's just he hasn't. He's done literally nothing throughout this, and I just feel like that's the kind of thing, that narrative arc where it builds. Oh. This is that moment, and he acts, and we see Forrest act. But you might be right. I mean,
yeah, we don't know. I feel like they've done a good job of making it a mystery. I mean, it's we just finished talking about another series where how it ends is a big question. All series that way, I guess. I haven't seen the famous Sopranos end, but in principle, I feel like I would just be unsatisfied.
I saw the Sopranos end. Yeah. I wasn't terribly disappointed, but it was anticlimactic, right? It was this moment in time. The family's at a diner. It did feel like, oh, okay, they're having this nice little moment, and then it just cuts out in the middle of things. Yeah. It felt brave at the time, but it also was like, was that the best choice? I don't know. It was a choice, and a bold one.
Yes, it definitely was.
But
yeah, so in a way, I feel like this show has more of a right to do that than that show.
Yeah. Good point.
It's hard not to see everything ending after everybody's dead on the floor. Maybe that's
we see her crawling at one point, and then she turns over. I mean, that's what we see in the little projection. No, in the a couple of episodes back, they're like, this is her.
Yeah.
She's crawling, and I would guess she'd been shot, and she's crawling across the floor and then turning over. But and I feel like since we have seen that, we're going to see that played out in some way. Yeah. Anyway. Not a lot of time here, but if you out there have you want to throw in your theories real fast, so you can prove that you knew what was coming before it arrived, put them on in here. And otherwise, we will be back talking about this after the finale plays, it's about 24 hours from now. So I'll get on this. But any further thoughts, Paul?
No, not really.
All right, so be it. Devs, everybody, clever show. A very unique energy about it. It's very watchable. Anyway, check it out, and we'll be back talking about that and Westworld. So bye, everybody.